Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. I have a video today sharing some Lawn Fawn themed birthday cards. Once again, I'm using Crafty Owl's sheet load of cards. I will have the link to her video where you can learn how to get these instructions yourself down below in my description. And I'm going to, of course, take this sketch and make it my own. Here is what I came up with using some fun tropical themed stamps and paper. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the stamping. I am using the Lawn Fawn stamp set called Toucan Do It, and I do not have the dies, but there are some coordinating dies that I will link down below. I'm going to be stamping my images with my ink on 3 Blackout ink, and I'm stamping them twice to get some nice, clean, crisp lines onto my Express It cardstock, which is handy using my Misty. There are the markers that I'm using if you need to go back and pause and take a screenshot or anything with those markers. Feel free to do so. I'm going to go quickly through my coloring today. I'm using my AGs for my greens, so starting with AG5 to color in all of the leaves, and then I will bring out my midtone, which is AG3, and I'm just going to bring up that color just a little bit. Those leaves are kind of tiny, so just bringing up the color a tiny bit, and then really extending the green on my larger leaf, making more lines and tracing more of the image to fill in and bring out that midtone. And then finally, I will use the lightest green, which I chose for this AG2, and using the brush tip this time to just fill in the rest of my leaves and really blend those colors together. Next, I'll move on to the branch of my little tree branch here, and I'm going to be using my EBs. I'm going with EB3 and EB1 for this branch. These are my go-to for almost anything for this brown, earthy brown color. And I wanted my branch to look round, so I did leave a little bit of white on the bottom of my branch as well as the top, just to give more of an illusion that this is a round branch. So coloring that in and just blending out the colors between my middle and light tones. I decided to just keep my branch more of a light brown, so I just went with 2 different shades. Now moving into my flower, I wanted to color this like a hibiscus flower. So I'm starting with my pinks. I'm using PP5 as the darkest and then PP4 as the lightest. And instead of going even lighter in the pinks, I'm going to grab a yellow. I'm using CT3 to color in the center of my flower as well as that center part of the hibiscus and the little pollen thingies on the inside of the flower. Now for my cheetah or leopard, I think leopard is what I'm going for here. I didn't know what colors to do. I kind of experimented on my first round of coloring, so I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But I used my brown grays to color in the spots. I used my 2 darkest shades, 9 and 6, to give a black spot kind of look, but yet still be kind of a warmer tone by using that brown grays. And then to create the orangey yellow, I'm going to mix between my TNs as well as my GY. So I started with a darker TN4, and just went lightly around and outlined my leopard. And then I grabbed my GY3 and added some more shadows. So that was kind of more of like the mid-tone. And then finally, I grabbed GY2 and I colored in the rest of my leopard. And then I also brought back out a TN. I did TN3 and just added a little more shadow, kind of more of a mid-tone, to really blend in the TN4 with the GYs. I hope that made sense. Again, I'm showing all the marker caps, but if you would like more of a video on how I colored him, let me know down below, and maybe my next color and chat we will do some wild animals. My leopard also had FS5, which is the peach, just to add in a cheek on the side you can see, as well as that TN3 and my colorless blender to add some color to the snout, and then my white gel pen just to add in some highlights and bring some character to my images. So here they are, and I'm going to cut them out. Like I said, I don't have the dies, but there are matching dies, or you could use a scan and cut, or you can fussy cut, whatever is your preference. This is a pack of pattern paper that I've had forever from Stampin' Up. It's definitely retired. I linked it down below so you can at least see the name of it, but good luck finding it. I'm sorry that I'm using retired paper, but part of these birthday cards I'm making every month is to use up my pattern paper stash because I have a lot that's just sitting and staring and taunting me. So I cut up some old designer series paper from Stampin' Up, and I thought it went really well with this stamp set. I'm sure you can find other awesome tropical theme papers out there. So use up what's in your stash or see what else is out there. So I'm just following Crafty Owl's sketch here by creating my 3 pieces of pattern paper onto this brown cardstock, and now I'm going to do my die cutting. So I'm cutting out 2 of these birthday Scripty sentiments out of some black cardstock. So I'll run that twice through my Gemini Junior, and then I am going to glue them together. So this just gives the sentiment a little more weight, makes it a little sturdier, it stands up a little better on a card. So that's why I'm just gluing these together. I did the little, I believe it's called a tittle, if I said that correctly, the little dot above the eye, and then added some glue behind one of my birthday sentiments and glued those together. And now I can add it to my background. So I'm going to have it be like the sentiment strip in the sketch. So I'm going to place it on the bottom. I'm adding wet glue behind the sentiment. I kind of forgot that it will hang off a little, so I have glue further than I need on the B and the Y, but that's okay. And I'm just lining it up to be about an inch above the bottom of my edge of my background here, and just making sure it's pretty straight using my grid mat. And then I will also add that little dot above the eye. And now I can start adding in my cut out stamped images. I'm going to add some dimension by using my scrapbook.com foam strips, and I'm adding some behind my branch. I am picking up the release paper as I'm adding it because when both sides of the adhesive are not constrained by the paper, it allows you to be able to bend it a little better. So I wanted it to curve behind that branch. I also cut some small pieces to place behind the leaves and then attach that down to my background. Next is my leopard, and cheetah. Wait, no leopard. Wait. It's a cheetah, right? Because leopard print is the more U-shaped spot. So this is a cheetah. Yes, cheetah. You should see my face right now. I probably look as confused as I'm sounding. Anyway, I'm adding my little cat to my background by having some foam strips along the top of my cat and then wet glue on its bottom where it's sitting on the branch. I wanted my leaf to kind of pop up, so I added a foam strip to the top of my leaf, the pointy side, and then added wet glue to the rest and tucked it behind my big cat. And then the same for my hibiscus. I added some foam adhesive and then glued it where it overlapped any of the other images. Now for my sentiment, I was showing there that I wanted to use have a wild day, but I just wanted to stamp out have a wild. And I embossed it with white embossing powder on my Pear Blossom Press sentiment stock. And this time I'm going to be using a thin foam strip. So this will actually sit lower than my stamped images. So now my sentiment and my images kind of have a little bit of different dimension, just giving it a little more interest. Now, of course, we have to add some sparkle and shine to our cards. So I'm using my glossy accents and I'm just adding a little bit to the bottom of each of the letters. Now, granted, there is a bit on the Y since it is kind of below everything else. So that will have the most glitter. But this way it would just add a subtle bit of glitter, kind of like an ombre feel of glitter onto the sentiment. And just like I do with my embossing powder, I have a coffee filter that's catching my extra glitter, making sure to really tap off the excess, and then I can use my coffee filter like a funnel and place my glitter back into the container. And while that is drying, I will get out a card base. My favorite is Top Folding A2. This is I think 110-pound cardstock, like heavy cover cardstock from Nina. And then I will glue this background to the center of my card. The dimensions again can be found on Crafty Owl's YouTube channel, which I will have links below, as I said earlier in the video. And I'm just gluing this down directly to the center of my card base, and that will finish up the main design. But of course I want to add some gems because I have a lot of fun sparkle blends and gems in my collection. This particular set of embellishments is from Trinity Stamps. It's an emerald green color. They're very pretty, and I thought went really well with that darker green in my pattern paper. So I just placed a large, a medium, and a small. I think there's just the 3 different sizes in the embellishment mix, and used a jewel picker and wet glue to glue those down. So here is a final look at my card, as well as the sample card that I was playing around and figuring out my layout. Inspired by the sketch, but here is what it looks like. Here is a photo of the card. I hope you enjoyed and you try this design yourself and check out Crafty Owl's channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!